Hello all, Namaskar. This is Durga Prasad Adhikary. Again, welcome back to the MUMUKSHU session. Today we will discuss about Rene Descartes. Rene Descartes, whatever you can say, Rene Descartes. So he's considered as the father of modern school of rationalism. So what is rationalism? So there are many other rationalists also, but however generally it is considered he is the father. So Rene Descartes. So basically he is there in our syllabus. So we will see how and all those things proceed. So what is rationalism? Rationalism here it means that reason is the main source of knowledge. That means that reason means that is the intuitive knowledge that it is not dependent on the experience. Rather you have everything within you, and it is your reason that is the source of your knowledge, or that is the valid source of your knowledge. That is the way from which you can gain the knowledge. And sense experience is said that is not so important as reason. Many also neglect it. So like when we will reach the climax of rationalism, that when we'll go to Leibniz, when you will see that he doesn't even consider science experience to be very important source of knowledge as well. So here reason is considered as the main source of knowledge. That's why it is the school of rationalism. And in fact the word that you will see here is a priori. It is a priori form of knowledge, because as knowledge is prior of experience, because knowledge is there already and experience comes later. So now we'll see what exactly is Rene Descartes is trying to say. Rene Descartes, you can see his book is Meditations on First Philosophical System or First Philosophy. Many write it is First Philosophy and many write it is on First Philosophical System. So basically what you will see that Rene Descartes was very influenced by mathematics. Like mathematics is very objective and scientific. You cannot say that this thing is right and this thing is wrong, because more or less everyone agrees that the whole number system starts from 0. The natural number system starts from 1. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. No one says that 1 plus 1 is equal to 3. So you can see the level of objectivity that is there in mathematics. However, for philosophy, it is mostly subjective. That I can say something, you can say something, and no one can say what exactly is the correct thing. So basically, Rene Descartes is thought that let us make philosophy a very objective form of knowledge like mathematics, wherein the philosophical system would have clear, distinct, and that would have indubitable. Indubitable means that is beyond doubt, that cannot be doubted, and which is certain knowledge. That's why he said he wanted to bring certitude in knowledge. This word is important. You have to write the word certitude in knowledge. And again here, what he tries to say, again you can see here I have written father of rationalism, that is modern rationalism you can write. Because you will see that if you go back to the things wherein reason is given due importance or due primary things, you can find that from Plato as well. Plato has also said that ideas are the utmost being and they are the substance. So here you can see, so what Rene Descartes tries to say, he uses the Cartesian method or again the deductive method to reach to the ultimate thing in philosophy. He wanted to see that what exactly is there in philosophy which cannot be doubted, that everyone would agree to it simultaneously. So what he says that to get the valid form of knowledge, he forms certain criteria or laws. First he says that I will only believe in the thing that is very clear and distinct. Then he said I will divide the problem into number of parts so that I will reach to the most simplest form. Then another thing is that I will start with the simple thing and I will reach to the complex parts of the problem. And fourth is that I will make my observation so wide that nothing is omitted. So these four were his criteria for his knowledge, and what he employs is the method of doubt. Method of doubt. So he says that I will doubt everything and I will see, I will not accept anything as it is until unless it has it has made to my mind very clear that it exists. I will not accept anything for the namesake. Rather, I will doubt it, and until unless I am very sure that this thing is clear and distinct, which is undubitable like mathematics, I will not accept it. So here he proceeds from the method of doubt, and what he says, he doubts everything. What he doubts? He doubts sense testimony. What is sense testimony? For example, what is experienced by us? But as we all know that many times it is false. Like for example, in the desert we see mirage. You see that a water source is being shown in the desert wherever it is not present. You see when the pencil is put in the water bucket, you see like it is bent. but it is not bent in reality. So many times our sense gets deceived. So he said that I cannot always believe what I have felt in sense. That's why he rejects sense testimony. Then next what he rejects, he says that evil demon conjecture. What is evil demon conjecture? He says that, for example, we write 2 plus 2 is equal to 5, is equal to 4. But what is there? But what would be the condition if in reality it would have been 2 plus 2 is equal to 5, and a demon is forcing me to write 4, and the demon is forcing everyone over here to write 4. That's why he says even the many of the objective things I cannot accept, and he says that this is the evil demon conjecture, and he rejects them. Then what he rejects dream, and he says it is a dream conjecture, because he says that whatever you see in dream, it is not real objective, and once you are awake, the whole of the dream world collapses. So he says I cannot believe in dream. So he goes on doubting each and everything that he sees, and he is completely doubting everything. But later he realizes that I may doubt everything, but I cannot doubt the fact that I am doubting. It is that means that I can doubt everything, but I cannot doubt the fact that I am doubting. Just as, and this takes him to his first axiom, and the truth that he finds, that just as a runner implies running, just as running implies runner, in the similar way, doubting implies doubter. And he comes to the first thing, that his whole thing, that is the cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. He says that I cannot doubt a thing. I cannot doubt that I am thinking. And if I am thinking, that means I am existing. And why do I exist? Because I think, therefore I am. That is cogito ergo sum. This is his first axiom. This is his first self-evident truth. You can say here it is self-evident truth. And from here on, he uses the method of deduction. What exactly is method of deduction? For example, if you have seen in mathematics, we first find some self-evident axiom. This is something like, if you would have seen, I'm not sure whether I can remember the correct example here or not, but if you have seen that a triangle has 180 degree, if you will add all the three angles of the triangle, it is 180 degree. So now, if this is your self-evident axiom, and now the corollary you can find that, for example, this is the triangle. If two angles are given, what is this angle? So you can find this from here. You are deducting this thing from this whole your first self-evident axiom. So here Descartes says his first self-evident axiom is cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. And from that he goes on to find what all things are truth, what all things are valid source of knowledge, what all things I can take it to be objective and real from this self-evident truth. And here on he goes to find there are different things. So what he says, he deduces three things. What are those three things? He deduces that there is a God, because he says that in my mind I have a clear and distinct idea of God. That's why the God must exist. Then he says that the external world. He says that again the external world, I can see and feel the external world, and further, if the God is perfect, he would not deceive me that this world is unreal. That's why this external world must also exist. Then again he says that the mind-body dualism, in fact here he starts the very long debate that would go and maybe end with Strawson, and later philosophers also think about that. But here is the starting point of a very big chain of arguments that will encompass whole of the Western philosophy, and this is mind-body dualism. He brings on the concept of dichotomy of mind and body. So what he says, that in my common experience, and he gives, there are 4 proofs. In fact, he says that the dualism support, there are 4 proofs that it is supported by common language. Whenever I am talking, that my hand is paining, but I am feeling good. So here, by common language also, we are saying that the mind and body are different things, because this pen is here. This pen is only matter. You cannot say that it has mind. For example, in our common sense also, we see that there are 2 separate things, that mind and body. There are things which don't have consciousness, and there are things which have consciousness. In fact, he says that in our common experience also, we feel that there is a dualism that exists. And he says that mind and matter cannot change into each other. You cannot convert a large amount of love into some entity that can be touched. So here you can see that he gives these 4 arguments for dualism, of support of dualism. So now he says that there is a dualism, and here comes that matter and mind. He says matter is unconscious, extended and divisible. However, mind is conscious, unextended and indivisible. And what is the attribute of matter? The attribute of matter is extension. It is extended. You can extend it. Basically, I will say how much length is this room. You can say it is 5 meter, 10 meter, and this is extension. But however, for mind, you cannot say it is extended, it is unextended. And so what is the attribute of mind? It is cogitation or consciousness or thinking, you can say. So this is the attribute of mind. And you can see now that he has brought in matter and mind over here. But how do you reconcile them? Because ultimately, for a philosophical system to be consistent, there must be one and only supreme being. So he has said that matter and mind are independent of each other, but they are dependent on God. Here he brings the concept of God. He says that matter and mind are there, but how you will see that who has created the matter and mind? How do they interact with each other? If they are completely independent, if you can find a very great connotation, in fact, like Sankhya of Prakriti and Purush. You don't write in exam unless very relevant. I am saying you can find that Prakriti is the material thing and the Purush is the conscious thing. So how do they interact? So here they could not do that. And you know that what all difficulties they face. They brought in the Supadhik Purush, they brought the semblance of contact and all those things. So here Descartes tries to reconcile them by bringing in the concept of God. He says that God is the sole and purely independent substance. So here again he brings the word substance. What exactly is substance? Substance is that which is independent, which lives for itself, in itself and for itself. So he says that God is the sole independent substance. However, this mind and matter are dependent on the God as much as only for their existence and that thing. But however, later in this realm of world, they are completely independent, and that's why they exist on their own. So what he brings, that God is the independent substance and mind and matter are the relative substance. Why relative? Because they are related to the God for their existence. But however, mind and matter are completely independent of each other. So now again the question comes that if you have said mind and matter are very two different things, and how do you explain the term of interactionism? How do you explain their interaction? How do you say that they coordinate with each other? Because for example, in my body, I have mind and I have matter. But when I think that I will lift my hand, when I think of it, then my hand is getting lifted. So how do you explain that how my hand is lifting? Because my mind cannot convert into matter and my matter cannot convert into mind. So here he brings the concept of interactionism. He says that interactionism is the thing. And what is the interactionism? He says that there is a pineal gland. There is a pineal gland that is in the four part of the brain, and it is here in this gland that the mind and matter interact. And who is the motivating force for this interaction? It is the God. So again he says that you can see it, because at those point of time the science was gradually trying to take the roots, and there the word came, the pineal gland, which is very important for the hormones and living and all those things. So he thought that this pineal gland might be the part where the mind and matter are getting interacted. But however, that was later refuted, because when the science moved further forward, they say that there is no such thing that is happening in the pineal gland. So this is one of the very big criticism for the Descartes, because that is refuted by the scientific means. Further he says, so they explain, how do you explain their interactionism? And he gives the example of horse and horse rider, that how this thing, that just as a horse rider, he compares the horse rider with the mind and the horse with the matter. He says just as on the directions of horse rider the horse moves, in a similar way on the directions of the mind the matter acts. But however, that is also refuted. How? That is also refuted in fact by because horse and horse rider both are conscious. But in case of the interactionism, you are saying the matter is not conscious. So how will the unconscious mind take the directions of the mind? So this is again a criticism. In fact, you can say that I've written over here. In fact, Gilbert Ryle criticizes this by saying that interactionism is a dogma of a ghost in machine. Because it is a ghost in machine, and the ghost cannot operate the machine and machine cannot operate its own, and you are saying that the both are interacting with each other. Then how do you reconcile them? It will reconcile, because this dualism which was started here, ultimately it was reconciled in a very comprehensive manner by Strawson. However, it also suffers from its own criticisms. But this is one of the most, because he says that you cannot separate mind and matter. In fact, the person as a whole is the simplest unit, and we will read that later. So now again you can see that we have discussed mind and matter, we have discussed God. Now again here you can see that God, by introducing the form of God and making the mind and matter independent, they are dependent only for the God, for the creation. So he brings in the concept of deism. And you must be knowing that this concept of deism, you will read it in POR, philosophy of religion, that it says that there is a God who has created this whole world, but it does not interfere in the day-to-day functioning. In a similar way, what to say, by making the mind and matter very independent and independent of everything else, the Descartes is bringing the concept of deism. So we have discussed that. Now we will see that what all things Descartes says, because we have discussed. Now we will go to again cogito ergo sum. And in fact here you can see that doubting is just the starting point but not the conclusion. In fact, you will see that in skepticism, they doubt, and at the end they say that no knowledge in the world can be said with certain surety. But in fact, here with Descartes, it is the starting point. He starts with doubt, finds some self-evident axioms, deduces other things, and he says that I am making philosophy as objective, as scientific, as indubitable, as clear and distinct like mathematics. So here it is the starting point. In the dictum again, here he says that therefore is refers to necessary connection and not inference. Why I am saying so? Because I can say that I am hungry, therefore I am eating. It implies that had I not been hungry, I would not have ate. But so this is something like unnecessary connection, it is inference. However, when you see that it is a triangle, therefore it is 180 degree. It doesn't say that, it does not say that the triangle can be not 180 degree. It says that if you are telling that the sum of angles is 180 degree, it means that it should be in triangle. If it is a closed figure and the sum of the angles are 180 degree, it is a triangle. You cannot say that it is a triangle and it is not 180 degree. It is not contingent. It is not empirical. It is objective. That's why here therefore refers to necessary connection. And cogito is here clear and distinct. Again we will see that one of our most urgent requirement was it is clear and distinct. And here cogito is not deduced. Because why? Deduction starts once we form one self-evident axiom. And in fact, cogito is the first self-evident axiom. That's why you cannot say that cogito has been deduced. Rather, the God, mind-body dualism and all those things have been deduced from cogito. However, cogito is not deduced. Rather, it is intuitively induced. And here again you can see why this is called the school of rationalism, because here the most important thing is done by intuition. And here it says that only conscious function can guarantee the self. This is something that we have discussed. So now you can see here comes the thing of Lumen Naturale. What Lumen Naturale? Lumen Naturale is the clear light of intuition. That is the innate characteristic of human to intuitively recognize the truth. In case here we recognize that just as thinking implies a thinker, and this is our first self-evident axiom, and this he goes on to say that it is the substance. So now you can see over here what we've discussed, that Cartesian method is not equivalent to skepticism, because in skepticism the ultimate thing is doubt, but here in Cartesian method it is the starting point of our thing. And Cartesian doubt is also not equivalent to psychological doubt, because in psychological doubt we are doubting something about an object, but here Cartesian doubt is something that we are dispassionately, because here we are trying for detachment, we are not getting attached with anything. In fact, you will find that Edmund Husserl, he says, the phenomenology master, he says that in fact he is the modern front runner of phenomenology is Descartes, because he is trying to see the things without any attachment. You will see that in phenomenology, Edmund Husserl also says that if you want to go to reality, first detach yourself from all the feelings and all the biasness you have. So in fact here the Cartesian doubt is a dispassionate, detached attempt to know the ultimate reality. So here again, in fact again I am saying this is an epistemological thing, the division of ideas, because this is an epistemological thing. Because Descartes says that the ideas are of three types. One is adventitious, the ideas are of three types. One is adventitious, then another is factitious, and the third one is innate ideas. What is adventitious? That is, the ideas are imposed from outside. Whatever idea I am receiving from outside, they are not clear and distinct. The second type is factitious. In fact, this is made by the mind, inside the mind, by conjunction. It is something that is made out of my imagination. In fact, this is also not clear and distinct. So what is the only clear and distinct idea? That is the innate idea. That is clear and distinct. This is the Lumen Naturale. Use the word Lumen Naturale because Descartes uses this word Lumen Naturale 12 times in his book, that on the meditations on the first philosophy. So this is very important. So now we have discussed this page also. This page also we have completely discussed. Now here you can see what is the relation between Descartes' epistemology and Descartes' metaphysics. So we have discussed what is epistemology. Epistemology is something wherein we are seeing what is the valid source of knowledge. And what is metaphysics? Metaphysics is our opinion about the world, soul and God. So in fact here you see Descartes starts his journey from the epistemology. That is, what is truth? He tries to find what is truth. He does not presume anything from the first. From his epistemology, he goes to his metaphysical truth. So from what is, he goes to, from what can be known, he goes to what is. So this is something, because he said what can be known, that can only be known and experienced, that is which is clear and distinct. Not experienced, that can be known and can be said as the ultimate reality, that can be not doubted, that which is clear and distinct. So you can see from his epistemological methodology, he goes to the metaphysical truth. And again here we have discussed that this cogito is not deduced, rather it is intuitively induced. In fact, we have discussed this page. Now we will go to some of the criticisms, because this is the end part. Some of the criticisms. So what are all the criticism? In fact, Kant and Hume criticize them. Kant and Hume, they say that the permanent self cannot be known empirically. If you are saying that this, Kant says in fact, that if you are saying that this self is permanent, you cannot know that by this empirical thinking. In fact, Kant says that the transcendental subject cannot be the object of knowledge. This is transcendental. You cannot say that. See, there are two things. One is the object, and the another one who is the knower of the object. You cannot make the knower of the object. You are confusing between the object and the knower of the object. In fact, I can say that I enjoy this gulab jamun, but I cannot be the gulab jamun. So here you are trying to know the object by applying all those things, but in fact you are the knower of the object. So this is something. In fact, Carnap says that am here, that I think, therefore I am. He says that am is used here as a connector and not as an indicator of existence. In fact, for the God also, Descartes provides certain proofs. So what are all the proofs? He says the causal proof, ontological proof, in fact some cosmological proof many say. Because how do they say? He says that I have a clear and distinct idea of God, that's why the God exists. Then another thing he says, that if I have the distinct and the clear idea of the God, that can I be the God? No, I cannot be the God. Why? Because I am not perfect. Can my parents be the God? No, they cannot be, because they are not perfect. Then that means there must be someone else who is that thing that must be God, because I have idea of something that is also perfect. So here he says that the God also exists. So these are all the proofs. However, you can see, you will read that in the philosophy of religion, that Kant expresses his displeasure over this ontological proof. He says that existence can't be the predicate. Here again he says you are confusing between the object and knower of the object. You can't make existence as a predicate. You cannot say that I can say rose is red, but you cannot say that rose is, that's why is the predicate over here. You cannot use this. You can, so that is the thing. You will read that over here. So now after discussing all of these things, we here we discuss the method of doubt, methodological skepticism. Because why is the skepticism? Because we are doubting everything. But this skepticism is not the skepticism of Hume. You will read later what is the skepticism of Hume. And this is metaphysical doubt. So we have discussed everything over here. The last part over here is that Edmund. So what is the significance? Significance here is freedom of thought. Here you can see that there is an outline of scientific temperament, that we are accepting only those things which are being passed through our rationale of doubt, where we are convinced that this is clear and distinct. We are not accepting anything for the namesake. So this is freedom of thought. Edmund Husserl also contends that Descartes to be the front runner of modern phenomenology. However, Descartes subordinates intellect to will, and powers of human intellect are feeble that they can't understand the will of God. This is something because he makes the God very all-powerful. Here he doesn't give, many say that here he subordinates himself, because in fact many say that Descartes was highly influenced by the Christian theology. So somewhere he compromises his method of doubt whenever the thing of God comes. Because again they say that there is a beautiful argument that they say that Mr. Descartes, you are playing in a round. You are saying by clear and distinct idea the God exists, and you are saying that just because I have the idea of God, the God exists, and you are saying that this God being clear, the true thing, He has made everything. So you are playing in around. You are saying that by idea I am having God, and again this God has made all of the things. This means the idea has also been made by the God. You are saying that God is made by the idea and idea is made by the God. Here Descartes says that in terms of knowledge, the idea comes first, clear and distinct idea. In terms of existence, the God comes first. So this is somewhere you can see that in case of Christian, due to his devotion for the God and all, many times he is not sticking very truly to his method of doubt, and he is accepting many things like that. So these are all the criticism. This is all about Descartes, and you can see that the lacunae that were there in the Descartes, specifically the mind and body dualism, the problems of interactionism. You cannot do interactionism because mind and body, you cannot interchange them, and we have discussed the criticism that the horse and horse rider. So these things will be carried forward by Spinoza, who will give who will take rationalism into one more step deeper, because here the rationalism is half-hearted acceptance of rationalism, which will be taken forward by Spinoza, who will try to remove some of the deficiencies, and ultimately we will reach the climax of rationalism in Gottfried Leibniz, who will take rationalism to its ultimate climax by his theory of monadology. So this is all about Rene Descartes that I wanted to discuss in this MUMUKSHU season. Hope it helped you, and thank you again. We will meet again later. Thank you again. Namaskar. Namaskar.